as well. But I feel like this should be a fun team to battle against. There are a decent amount of threats in this team. So, hello everybody, I'm DKG's Avos. Welcome to the stream, or YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube. I'm battling up against Psyfer, stream viewer, and it looks like he's got a great team against us. So, we should be able to test out some of the weaknesses and strengths of this team for sure. I'm leading out with Mega Venusaur, just to kind of see what's coming out. I know that this is a really good setup Pokemon. I've seen a lot of it on streams before, so I just kind of wanted to see what I was going to be able to run into against it. It is an electric Pokemon with some bug moves. Mega Venusaur does not resist bug, but not a whole lot of bug moves that you run into. We will run into them, but Sticky Web is kind of annoying. We do have a bunch of stab priority, and I'm just going for... I was kind of expecting a little bit of switch, but... looks like we're going to do some neutral damage, get some poison damage in. So that's awesome. That's kind of a win already right there. I'm quite okay with that. So that means he's got about 2 or 3 turns before that's basically just out of there. Now, Sticky Web is one of those that I don't have a whole lot of experience with. I've seen it a couple times on other people's videos. But I know that it slows things down, so having slow Pokemon, I mean, it sucks, but, you know. Alright, Volt Switch does neutral damage to Scissor. This is not a bulky Scissor, so maybe not the smartest decision on my part. Might have been able to leave Venusaur in and just be able to deal with it as it was. But we're going to be able to do a little bit of damage, and then Toxic Orb. And I don't think we're going to be able to take out this Gliscor. It's a ground flying type. I feel like Scissor might have just been switched in on a Volt Switch that I didn't want to have it switched in on. So I don't really want to keep... there's not a whole lot that I'm going to be able to do. I wanted to get U-turn, but Gliscor is a little bit faster. Could have gone for Bullet Punch, but I didn't think that it was going to do enough damage. So now I've got a little bit of a problem with Klefki not being able to set up here. But we do still have our Azumarill, which might be able to tank a little bit of damage. I'm pretty sure that Gliscor has access to all the Fangs. So Fire Fang, Ice Fang, and Thunder Fang. He's got Poison Heal, which is about the only thing that Gliscor running right now. That hidden ability is fantastic. Oh yeah, there we go. So he's going to resist this Aqua Jet pretty well. I really like the Resto Chesto Trevenants with Harvest. I think those are phenomenal. I really like those. Those are pretty fun. So one thing that does suck about this is that I can't switch in Gengar against Trevenant. Gengar will not Oko, because Trevenant's just so bulky. And so now, knowing that you have access to Will-O-Wisp, you want to switch out your Pokemon into something that's kind of a special attacker. So I don't want to go into Diggersby because it's a grass Pokemon, and I don't want to go into I don't want to keep Azumarill out because Will-O-Wisp is going to wreck my attack. It reduces it by half, which makes it basically a regular Azumarill without an ability, or a regular Diggersby without an ability. Now, my Diggersby does have Lumberry. Super cool. Love it. Now, normally I think I'd be faster than a Trevenant, but I keep forgetting that Sticky Web is out. And again, no Rapid Spinner, so it's a little rough. Phantom Force should do some damage, but it is a bold-natured. I'm going to use Synthesis here. That's a little bit of a misclick. I meant to go for Sludge Bomb, but it works out in our favor anyway. Now, Trevenant is really annoying. Usually they're running Citrus Berry with Harvest, but Citrus Berry really only does so much. So here we go. We're using Toxic, already poisoned. That sucks for us. And it looks like this one we're already getting outplayed, so we need to try and come from behind, try and find a way to get an advantage here. It appears that we've got one Pokemon that's already dealt with, but it's not really set up on. Now, Gliscor, the reason I'm staying in knowing that it has access to Earthquake, I want to see how much damage I can really do with Sludge Bomb. And Earthquake from Gliscor is not really that strong. Even that stab Earthquake, not really doing that much damage. So I'm going to stay in. I'm going to try and get up a Synthesis, try and get over half HP so that I can switch it in safely. Get that Synthesis in. We're going to take some burn damage. We're going to be right about half HP. And, I mean, the amount of damage that we've done to this Gliscor isn't great. But we need to find a better way to deal with it. Now, having Scissor around would have been a little bit helpful, but I don't know. It's a little rough there. So now I've got Meryl. Meryl's going to get stuck in the sticky web. Earthquake's going to come out. And I imagine I'd like to go with Aqua Jet. But we do know that Trevenant's still an option. So Trevenant walls out the Azumarill pretty well. And then it's going to be kind of a switching game between Trevenant and Gliscor. But Play Rough does a lot of damage than he was necessarily banking on. And so Harvest brings back the Citrus Berry, and it's going to heal up. That's twice in a turn. That's some shit. I'm a little mad about that. A little mad that it got 2 Citrus Berries in one turn. Ugh. Caught in the sticky web, we're still slow. It's going to suck. Will-O-Wisp, but we're already burned. And again, that's just knowing what your opponent has to threaten you with. So I really don't want to deal with that kind of stuff. And about the most threatening move that he's going to have is Phantom Force. And so because we've already seen that before, we're going to go for Synthesis straight away while he's disappearing. And this is one of those things with those 2-turn moves. If you're playing predictably and your opponent knows what you've got access to with 2-turn moves, if they've got Fly, if they've got Bounce, Solar Beam, any of those 2-turn moves, you can oftentimes use Protect. Or you can heal up like we've done. Phantom Force is not going to take us, hopefully not down below half. And then we're going to get a Sludge Bomb, which is going to do stab damage and weak. But the Citrus Berry is going to heal it back up. Damn Citrus Berry. Stupid. Alright. So this is where the little bit of decision making has to come in. We can either assume that he's going to keep in Trevenant, or assume that he's going to switch out Trevenant and try and predict which Pokemon he's going to switch into. He's still got a lot of Pokemon accessible for switching because he's got his entire team up. So trying to predict which Pokemon he's going to necessarily switch into, not always the best idea. With Venusaur being burned, it kind of sucks. But you kind of have to play with what hand you've dealt yourself in this case. Fiery Dance. Alright, so we did resist that pretty well. I was kind of expecting to see some sort of bug move coming out of Volcarona, just because we do have... I mean, we've got a water type on our team, so the bug move would have done some damage. And then Venusaur has thick fat right now, so the bug move would have done super effective damage, not neutral damage. Any fire move on a Mega Venusaur is just going to do neutral damage. Thick fat resists, and the fire only does super effective damage. It's not 4 times super effective. So with this, nobody's going to leave in a Volcarona against an Azumarill. That's just not going to happen. So I'm going for Play Rough here, trying to get some neutral damage in. It's going to do a decent chunk of damage, which is really nice. We're going to get some lefties. And then the other thing to remember here is the fact that we do still have Brick Break. And this is instead of Aqua Ring, which Aqua Ring might work out pretty well in underuse with leftovers because it's going to do a little bit more damage. But we've got a pretty tanky Marill, so I'm not too worried about any move that Cloyster is really going to bring against us. Yeah, it's going to do a lot of damage because of Skill Link. Skill Link's a really cheap move, or really cheap ability. And then flinching really sucks. I can't survive another Skill Link like that. But I want to keep Azumarill in here. Really what's happening is that we're getting a little out-predicted, and losing Scissor early on was a really bad idea. Not having the bulky Scissor, having a bulky Scissor might have helped us out a little bit, but right now we are seriously getting outplayed, and we need to come from behind. That's really what needs to happen. So having Klefki come in to take the Rock Blast that we knew was probably going to happen, it was either going to be that or some sort of Icicle Crash, because Skill Link guarantees that you're going to get five shots in, which is really nice, especially on something that does like 25 base damage per attack. And so you kind of assume that it's going to switch out, and so now I'm just going to finish off whatever comes in, because I'm not going to set it up. I was just going straight for damage. He doesn't want me to set up on any of his Pokemon, and that's acceptable. I understand that. Nobody wants their Pokemon to be set up on. Especially not with something like Klefki, which is pretty threatening. And so now we've got Hawlucha. Hawlucha has access to a lot of fighting and flying moves, or some fighting and flying. His flying press is both fighting and flying simultaneously, which is really weird, and I'm not sure how they figure out the damage calcs on that. But it's weird. I don't know. Flying press I think is pretty cool, and it looks like Lumberry is going to cure it of paralysis. High jump kick has a decent chance of missing, and Klefki is going to survive it. We got rid of the Lumberry, so we should be okay. We're going to try and get some Parahacks. We just need to do something with Klefki. I'd like to save it to set up some other Pokemon, but I gotta go for some Parahacks here. Alright, so Hawlucha is coming in here, and I know he's got flying moves, I know he's got fighting moves, but he's shown High Jump Kick, which does a decent amount of damage to itself when it comes in. High Jump Kick doesn't affect Gengar, it's going to keep going and crash through the wall, does a lot of damage. So it really depends on what's going to happen here with Nightwing. We do have Levitate, so we're not dealing with the Sticky Web anymore, we're still a really fast Pokemon. We've got a Pokemon paralyzed, we've got Gliscor that's poisoned, and then we've got 3 more Pokemon that we haven't really done anything to, which, I mean, sucks, but we've done about half damage to that Cloyster, so at least we're starting to whittle things down. Knowing that I've got access to Psychic, it's going to be a little shitty. So he does kind of have to go straight back into this Trevenant, which would have been nice if we had predicted the fact that Trevenant was coming in, but because there were so many Pokemon that he had ability to switch into, I couldn't go for Focus Blast predicting the Cloyster switch because he had access to Trevenant, So that was just one of those things where you just kind of have to pick a move that's going to do damage. So knowing that Trevenant is stalled out a little bit by Venusaur, we just got to go with it. He's low on health, so we might be able to get a Synthesis off, but Leech Seed especially helps out there. Phantom Force might be the biggest move that he's got going for him against Venusaur. We've only got a little bit of Synthesis left for us, but really his best move is switching out to something else. And that Gliscor has basically been the go-to. Alright, burn damage. Burn damage sucks, but thankfully he's not a physical attacker, so I'm not terribly worried about it. I mean, and then here I'm predicting the Earthquake, because I'm expecting him to go for some sort of damage. I've been switching out a lot. Earthquake's not going to do any damage to Gengar. This is kind of the stuff that we needed to have going for us earlier. This is the stuff that we needed to have in our favor. So I don't think that I'm going to be able to OHKO this Gliscor. That's the biggest problem. And he's going to scout out the fact that I'm going straight for Shadow Ball. I'm going to do as much damage to him as possible. And I really don't think that I've got anything that's going to OHKO. I was really expecting him to switch out, hoping for the switch. And then we'd be able to go straight away into Shadow Ball on something that was switching in. Trevenant would be an awesome place to switch in, but I just don't think that that's going to happen. Now it's a little tough. I mean, Gengar's our biggest threat to Trevenant. And I'm a little scared of what this Gliscor has to offer. We've really only scouted a couple things from this Gliscor. So, I don't know. We're just going to go for something. And the nice thing is that we've gotten a switch into Volcarona. And so we can go for Aqua Jet straight away and just try and do some sort of damage to it. But I really don't think that Volcarona is going to come in and stay in against... Yeah, but I'm over-predicting here. That sucks. Really didn't want to be in the position where I was over-predicting. Had a little rally going there for us. But I was really hoping that he was going to switch in Trevenant again. But Trevenant is kind of low. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot that Gengar can do here. So, with that being the case, we do kind of have to switch out and see what we can do, and hope that we don't get burned. Cross your fingers. Hope that we don't get burned, because burns do hurt. And that's going to take a lot out of Diggersby. And it looks like Fiery Dance, because he's already raised a special attack. Seeing how much he'd done to us before, he has a chance to 2-KO. And I mean, that sucks. I would have loved to have Diggersby do some sort of damage. Having Rock Slide in there would have been awesome, but looks like that's not going to happen. And so at the moment, it looks like we're going to have to set up on this Volcarona, try and take it out. Had a little bit of a rally, but I don't think we're going to make it. Had a small window of time where we could have done some damage, but they rallied back, and I'm not sure. Fiery Dance, it's going to raise the special attack one more time, and it sucks letting Volcarona set up like that, but now that we're faster, we're going to be able to do some sort of damage. We've cut it in half. And we've lowered its HP a little bit. So we've got a little bit of access here to do some sort of damage. I don't know if Aqua Jet's really going to take it all the way out, but Volcarona's not really that strong. And Flame Body sucks. So that's going to do a little bit more damage than Lefties is going to be able to heal back. Flame Body always hurts on something like Azumarill or Bunnelby, because really the only reason that they're even viable at all is because of Huge Power. And Huge Power and Burn negate everything about each other. And then the fact that Marilyn is slowed down really doesn't help. So now we've got Cloyster coming in, and that's just not going to help us out. But I really do want to have Marilyn in here. We got a little bit of utility left out of Marilyn. A little bit, so we got to keep it alive as long as possible. Just trying to keep it alive. Setting everything up so that Gengar can finally come in here and sweep everything out the rest of the way. We're going to see what we can do. But Rock Blast, because it's so strong. Burn damage sucks. Now the problem is that Cloyster is going to outspeed us. So, we're dead. That's just all there is to it. Venusaur's out of here. Adios, Venusaur. Sorry to see you go. Alright. Gengar, you gotta do something, buddy. So, Gengar not affected by the whole sticky web thing, so we are going to be faster than the majority of the team, which will be really nice. We've got Howlucha slowed down, which is really nice. We've got some of our biggest threats taken care of. And the biggest damage that we're going to take right now is going to be that Life Orb damage. Now, Trevenant is still going to be a problem. Phantom Force is nothing to be joked around with. And I don't know if we're going to be able to take it out the rest of the way. It's at a little over half health. We're going to have Shadow Ball, stab Shadow Ball with Life Orb. It does a lot of damage. We should be faster than Trevenant because Trevenant is slow and bulky. But if we get hit in the face with Phantom Force, we're screwed. So we just have to kind of sweep with Gengar and hope that it works. This is where keeping Gengar in the team starts making its own argument. I'd like to have something fast like Gengar and as heavy of a hitter as Gengar, but isn't going to share some of the weaknesses with Meowstic. That's one of the problems that I have with keeping Gengar around. And so now because we've got Howlucha paralyzed, we've already set it up. We've set up everything as best as possible, and this is where sweepers do their sweeping. Sweepers are not meant to come in guns a-blazing right off the bat and just kill everything. If you want that, go with a bulky scissor, get Swords Dance up 3 times if you can, and then just go for it. Sweepers come in, and after everything's already been set up, that's when they're going to do their sweeping. But let's be honest, we really don't have anything to deal with this Gliscor. There's just really not a whole lot to do with it. I mean, we can check and see, but I really don't think there's anything glaring that I'm missing as far as what's going to be effective against it. It's flying, so Focus Blast isn't going to do that much. Shadow Ball, just really not gonna, it's not a strong enough move to really do it. Psychic, I mean, it's not a poison type, so he's not weak to that. It's an off move. It's about as strong as Shadow Ball, so we'd be better off with Shadow Ball. And then Dazzling Gleam isn't gonna work either. It's about as strong, and again, if it's not gonna be doing a whole bunch of damage, so Shadow Ball's really our best move. And that's really all we got. And the reason that we're not switching over to something like our Azumarill is burned. So when it switches in, it's going to take burn damage. When it gets Protect, it's going to get burn damage. It's just like, it's the way that it's going to work. I think he was working, assuming That must have been like the misclick of the century right there. He's got Earthquake, he's got Toxic, he's got Protect, and I don't remember what the last move on that is. But he's got access to a lot of different moves. Poison Jab wouldn't do that much, but he does have access to Knockoff. And being the staller that he is, Knockoff might have helped. Feint Attack would also work. Protect getting a second move, that's a 1 in 4 kind of thing. He's also got Night Slash available, so Night Slash could have been something to take out a threat like Gengar. So he's healing up pretty well. Protect's not going to work the third time in a row. And then just barely, that would have been like a 50-50 shot. I'm a little surprised that Gengar really made it through that, but that's really how you use a sweeper. You set up the entire team and then you just come through, crashing through with a sweeper. It's kind of a nail-biter to use sweepers like that, but it ended up working. We rallied there in the middle. I thought we lost control a little toward the back end, but somehow Gengar rallied through. That was I was scared. I thought we'd lost it at 3 or 4 different points in that game, so awesome. That was an awesome, awesome game. Thank you, Psyfer, for battling. Amazing.